Hello everyone, Big Seven here, back for some more BBL SuperCoach content. This is going to be quite a long video, so I'm going to put chapters if you want to skip certain parts. I'm going to go through what happened in round one, including some of the tactical failings I had regarding my starting team. And then I'll go through my round two performance as well as looking at the best trade targets for round three, which is the Stars and Hurricanes doubles, and for round four as well, which will be the Perth Scorchers double, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get a video out between round three and round four. We do get a couple of days off now over the Christmas period, and I hope you enjoy that and take that time to catch up with family and friends and just enjoy that festive period. But yeah, with the short turnaround between round three and round four, there probably won't be a video out in between then. So I'll go through my round three and round four targets as well. And also at the end of the video, I'll show you the trades that I am planning on making. So round one, absolute disaster. There's no other way to put it. 711, which put me at a 26,000 rank. That's worse. That's worse than half the field. So um, very poor by my standards, and there was a bit of bad luck involved with that, I felt. But also just I think a few lessons I need to take from this year. So with that Sydney Sixers game and Sixers and Perth game looking like it was going to be rained out, I did change my starting team quite drastically. I planned on having five Sixers players and Aaron Hardy and Finn Allen, and then with the rain in the area, I initially adjusted to going to Dorcas, Edwards, and Hardy, and that would have been fine. And then it looked like it was getting worse, so I got rid of everyone. And then it started to look like it was getting a bit better, so I only got Dorcas and Hardy back. I did document this on my YouTube channel. I think only subscribers are able to see posts, and this is basically where I've been updating my team, my trades and stuff when I haven't been able to do videos. So I will continue to do that, and that's a good reason to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm not really a big social media kind of person. I do use Twitter, but that's mainly just to look at sports and get the lineups out as soon as I can. Yeah, see the lineups as soon as I can. And, yeah, not really a big poster apart from on Discord. Most people I think would know me as a member of the FTTV community, and I would implore you to check that out if you as someone that wants to improve your game. A bunch of very intelligent people there, and also myself. So, would recommend checking that out also. But yeah, back to my failings. Yeah, so I had Dorcas, Edwards, and Hardy, and then ended up going back to just Dorcas and Hardy. And Edwards was it was a bad fade. I knew it at about 10 minutes after lockout. I was like, oh, I knew I should have got Edwards back, but um, yeah, just he was someone I was keen on, regardless of if he was batting at six, and even not knowing he could have been batting at three as well, and that would have been even worse to fade. So yeah, he was someone I definitely should have got back before. Or I should have got back before that first lockout, but I didn't, and he's gone nuts, and just fair enough, you know. But yeah, that was just a tactical failing for me. The other thing to mention is the state of the internationals. I was far too hot on Afridi and Baba Azam. Didn't end up picking Azam, thankfully, because of that rain. But yeah, I think the lesson I've learnt from this year, and probably should have learnt it last year, is that internationals tend to take a bit of time to adjust. If you look at all the internationals that are doing well this year, it's players that have been in their second or third season here, or even longer than that. Someone like Tim Seifert was pretty underwhelming last year. I'm pretty sure I started him, and he comes out of the gates with a ton. Finn Allen looks a lot better this year than last year. Um, yeah, there's Shadad Khan as well. He was great in round two. But again, he had that experience of being out here a couple of seasons ago for the Hurricanes. So I think in hindsight, pushing Afridi and Azam too hard was a mistake. I didn't end up starting Azam, thankfully, but I did end up starting Afridi, and we've seen how that's gone. And then the third thing to mention, which I wouldn't call a tactical blunder, but it's definitely a trend that I maybe should have picked up on, is the increase in batting scores across the competition. Generally speaking, I like to start, and all rounders are your best players because they've got an opportunity to bat and an opportunity to bowl. But then in the past, I've always prioritized pure bowlers over pure batters. But I think that trend has flipped now. And I think Cricket Australia in particular more keen to have grounds that are conducive to high scoring. I looked back through some trends, and through the first 9 games last year, the average first inning score was 155. There was an outlier game in there where I think Hobart got bowled out by the Gades for like 74. But even if you exclude that, I think the first inning score was about 165. Whereas this year it's up to 185. And again, there is an outlier game in there with the Heat and the Scorchers, which, man, that was such a fun game to watch as a neutral, especially owning Wildermuth and Renshaw and seeing them both pop off, and number of missed chances in that game as well was pretty ridiculous to watch, but one of the BBL games of all time. Um, but yeah, so including that game and not including the game that was shortened due to rain, which was that Perth game, where I think Perth scored. I'm not sure who batted first. I think it was Sixers. Whoever batted first scored like 115 off 11 overs. But if you're excluding that and you're including this outlier game, the average first inning score this year has been 185. And if you exclude that Heat game where Heat against Scorchers, the first inning score is the average of that is 175. And even then, I think there's been a couple of poor performances with the bat. In particular, Renegades against Hurricanes, where Renegades scored, I think it was 141 or something like that, and the Hurricanes chased that down in 13 overs. So, whereas in the past I've prioritized all rounders and then bowlers and then pure batters, I think that needs to be switched around. And you still want your all rounders, of course, but I think rather than prioritizing pure bowlers, you got to prioritize your pure batters in those double game weeks. So yeah, looking back to week one, I'm not going to go through everyone in detail, but I'll quickly go through it. McDermott was great. I think he outscored Philippi. I think that's what I said he would do. So that was good, although Philippi ended up being a good pick as well. So would have been nice to have both, but not crying about that one. Ryan Ahmed, very underwhelming considering what his potential role could have been. He was listed at 3, and I think he played one game at 3 and one game batted down the order, and also bowled a few overs as well. And to only score 4 is very underwhelming in a double. Was a must pick in my opinion, though, just because that role could have been anything. But I think I said it before round one that his range of outcomes was the widest of anyone in the tournament. So just unfortunate he hit the bottom end of that. Rishad Hussain, very solid. Nikhil Chowdhury wasn't in my team until he was listed at the top of the order, but he was great. And round two as well, he was great as well. So one I'm happy to have. Mitch Owen, a bit of a lackluster start to the tournament, but I'll back him to bounce back. Matt Short, he was a 1 week punt and didn't end up going well. I wish that was Jack Edwards, but I'll try not to harp on that too much. Wildermuth, I was very against, and then the rain out happened, and I had him in my team after that. And opening at the top of the order, just couldn't fade that. And I got to apologise to JL. He was right, I was wrong. I was too hung up on Brisbane's inability to recognise talent last year when they decided not to play him and were playing local replacements over him. So that's an L for me in terms of my, I guess, my takes. But you got to be a bigger man and realize when you're wrong, and that's ultimately why I picked him. You can't fade an all-rounder that's batting at the top of the order, and he was awesome in round two. Bartlett did okay in his first couple of rounds, and then McSweeney injured. We see we saw in the third game that Bartlett ended up being the filling captain, and I'm not sure if I like that. Some players kind of rise up to the challenge of being captain. Others it kind of overwhelms them a bit. Some stay steady, and yeah, Bartlett looked the worst he'd been for a couple of years bowling the other night. So I'm not sure if that was captaincy related, where all the added pressure, especially unexpectedly, got to him a bit. But yeah, he was pretty underwhelming. Both this week, well, it was okay in week one, but in the double it was a bit underwhelming. Nathan Ellis probably goes back to the conversation about pitches being roads. Um, had I known that GMHBA would play like it would have, or like it did in that first round, then I would have captained Owen. Only lost 30 points on Owen, but pretty underwhelming, and lost a few points to people that had Jack Edwards VC. Dorcas picked up some charity wickets in round one, underwhelming round two. And then Meredith, yeah, again, another one that was underwhelming, unable to take any polls. The players I stashed, Joe Clark, I'm not sure how I feel about him. I'll go over him a bit later. Hassan Khan, he's my boy. He's going to pop off a main score at some point. The role is too good. Scored a fast 20 odd in the second game. And yeah, he's got a big ceiling score in him. I just feel it. Sam's, he was the one I chose to carry over, and he's good. Aaron Hardy, lock, hasn't gone off yet, but he's another one that I know has that ceiling score in him. And then Afridi, I touched on the internationals being underwhelming, but even a -1 by my standards was completely unexpected. And all right, so let's jump to round two. This was a much better round. Oh, sorry, yeah. Before I do that, let's jump into the trades. So going from round one to round two, I decided that I wanted Shadab Khan. He was non-negotiable for me. And then the other two I was playing around with, I was really tossing up between Renshaw and Sanger for that second double spot. I ended up going Renshaw, and that was mainly going back to the macro factor that I noticed in round one, where pitchers seem to be doing a fair bit better than previous seasons. So normally I would have had the confidence to go Tampia Sanger with one of those games at NG Stadium, but I decided to go the pure batting option in Renshaw, and McSweeney and Munro were options as well, but Renshaw was just the one I liked the most, so that ended up being very good. And then, yeah, so Short and Dorcas, Short and Ahmed were the two that were definitely going to be out for me. Ahmed with his underwhelming start, and Short, he was just a 1 week play. And then the third trade I adjusted, the plan was to trade my Loophole out to Campbell Callaway. But after VC and Renshaw, I needed that loop. So instead, I went Dorcas and Stoinis, and that ended up being okay as well. So let's jump to round two. I scored 14-11.
I'm still hoping to at least finish top 1K, although I'll be disappointed if I don't finish top 1K from here, and I would love to finish top 100. I think winning overall will finish top 10 is probably out of the equation from this far back. But it's BBL. It's a highly volatile beast, and strange things can happen. So, there was no way that Wildermuth scoring 250 in a double game week was on my radar, but he did it. So it was good to have him. Would have been nice to VC him, and probably the logical VC option in the end. But I wanted to go a bit different. Renshaw on a good batting track, he was the one I decided to go for, and that ended up being good. So this is how the team looked in round 2. 23k left over, 14-11 as I previously said. McDermott was good considering it was a single. We'll take the 64 every time. Shadab Khan, awesome. Renshaw was amazing. Wildermyth was great. Hassan Khan, I could have fielded a Hobart player over him, but that Hassan Khan moon score is coming. I'm going to be waiting for it all season if I have to, but yeah, he's my boy. 43 was okay. Scored a quick 520, but didn't go on with it and didn't take any wickets. Ended up fielding Nikhil Chowdhury, so I needed to put O'Connor on field to take Renshaw. But yeah, I was tossing up between Chowdhury and Alice, and again, I just went back to pick the player with the pick the batter that's playing on a good track. So that ended up going well. Chowdhury going 124, well above expectation. That was good. Then Stoinis, he was the trade-in. He looks like he's got a really good role this year, batting at 4, and I think he batted at 5 last night, but I expect him to bat at 4 going forwards, and also bowling a couple of overs, including the 20th over, which can be a goldmine for wickets. So Stoin was a good trade-in my opinion. Must have for this upcoming double, in my opinion. Mitch Owen, he'll bounce back. Daniel Sams, 85, is okay for a double score. And then the 2 heat bowlers, Bartlett, good in the first game of round 2, but underwhelming. Freddie scored okay, but yeah, well short of my expectations. And then Aaron Hardy, who I probably shouldn't have had in the flex, but don't get punished for that. He scored 46, and he's another one that has a moon score in him with his role, both batting and bowling. The big score is going to come. The players I benched, Joe Clark, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about him, but I'll go over him a bit later. Rashad Hussain, he looks a good player. Nathan Ellis, yeah, just hasn't been at his best. And then Riley Meredith, I'm a bit nervous about him as well. With the way Hobart currently have their team structured, with I think it's Jordan at 8 and then Ellis 9 and the 2 pure bowlers. Another bad game from Meredith could see him drop for Stanley. So I hope that he holds, but he needs to pull his finger out ASAP. So let's go into round 3 targets. So the targets for round 3, I think the lock is Marcus Stoinis, 191k. It's more expensive than what he started as, but he's in great touch with the bat and bowling meaningful overs as well. Maybe the little bit of hesitation is if the player that comes in for Tom Rogers, if that's a pure bowler, then we could see overs get siphoned away from himself and Glenn Maxwell. I'm hoping they just play like a Merlot type in there though, who just like is basically a specialist fielder. But if they do bring a pure bowler in, then it's maybe a small cause for concern at the price. But I think he's in such good touch that I'm willing to call him a lock, even if that bowling option is there. The next few players, I think, is a case of pick your own poison. I would be happy with any of these guys in my team. I'll start from the bottom. Campbell Callaway, he looks in really good touch. First game looked good with the bat, and then he doesn't look like getting out, and he just looks like he belongs at the level, and kind of I don't know who I would compare him to. Maybe like a Cooper Connolly, where it's like the first 15, 20 balls, he'll go at like a runner ball, but I think he paces his innings really well. And yeah, he can explode at the back end of innings if he's still there. First game he did well with the bat. I think he scored 40 odd, not out. And then second game he went out trying to bash it in the power surge, but still on like, I think it was 27 off 21. So he's a player that I think is going to break out in a big way this year, and probably is a big reason why the Stars have performed like they have at the start of the year. He's just been that glue at the top of the order that the Stars haven't had in the past, and So that's led to Stoinis and Maxwell getting exposed too early with no batting depth behind them. So I really like how Campbell Callaway's looked, and 91k maybe a little bit steep, but I'm a believer in the kid. Tom Curran, he looked good against the strikers. The kind of bad thing about him is he's bowling most of his overs early in the innings. You would rather um, have a bowler that bowls those charity backhand innings where players are trying to swing and get out. But Curran has looked in good form with the ball, and at 108k, probably a little bit underpriced. Harris Ralph, love him. He just always performs when he's out here, and he also bowls the best overs. So 155k for a pure bowler is on the expensive side, but Harris Ralph has the pedigree and the form to justify that. And then Glenn Maxwell, he's the interesting one at 170k. I think like the role is probably slightly worse than previous years, just because Campbell Callaway, as I mentioned, is that glue in the middle order. So um, that leads to Maxwell coming in later in games and not getting as much of a batting opportunity. But he is bowling a couple of overs as well, and he's a gun fieldsman. I wouldn't write him off at 170k, and he's firmly in contention to be traded into my side. The players that I would call desperation doubles, you can pick them, but I honestly don't have a lot of faith in all of them. Peter Siddle started the year really well with the ball, but he's an old man and could get rested at any point, especially with the short turnaround between games. They play the SCG on the 26th and then Monica on the 28th, so I could easily see him getting rested for that second game at Monica. But if you wanted to go there and take the risk, um, sure, go for it. I just think there is a substantial risk of him getting rested in the second game. So, not one that I will be picking, but if you're desperate for a pod, he could be the one. Sam Harper, I think, is a trap. He always he always does this. He has one or two good games where he looks like he's actually kind of adapted to the level, and then the rest of the time he just seems to throw his wicket away. And even when he was in last night, he's still just waiting for him to put the ball down a fielder's throat. So at 83k, I think you've missed the good score out of him, and I think similar to what Bancroft was last week, I think he's going to be underwhelming for those that pick him. Joe Clark, he's the one that I have. He is capable of those really big scores. Compared to a Harper where he can go out at any time, and I maybe has like one or two BBL half centuries. Joe Clark is actually capable of going beyond that, and has scored a BBL ton and other scores I think in the 70s and 80s. So straight up, I would prefer Joe Clark over Sam Harper. But he's another one that's pretty frustrating. Gets into his innings a bit and then puts the ball straight down the fielder trying to play a stupid shot or just like or gets run out. So he's one that I have. He definitely has that ceiling, but he's a frustrating player at times as well. And honestly, I'm debating fielding a single game week player over Joe Clark, so that shows you how much faith I actually have in him. Swepson at 53k, probably more of an enabler, especially for those that want to go maybe a Stoinis and a Maxwell. He might be the cheap option to put in your side. He just hasn't been much of a wicket taker in seasons past, and he has been fairly economical this year, but you don't get enough points for being economical. You need to take wickets as a bowler to do well in this format. So, not the worst option, but I think probably like the desperation enabler, if you will. And then Hilton Cartwright is a no. Role isn't good enough. He'll be batting at 6 or 7. So that's not a role you want for this game. And then whoever they bring in for Tom Rogers as well. I'm not sure if that's going to be a Merlot or a Whitney or Hatcher. I just wouldn't have any faith in their job security or their scoring. So that's a no for that. Also, like I've only got stars players here for round 3, and all the players on the left side I would pick before any Hurricanes players. Chris Jordan has looked in good form. I'll give him that. There's been a bit of luck behind it as well, like getting my boy Hassan Khan out to a full toss, and a few of those wickets have been tail enders, and one of them's been Ollie Davies, who's a walking wicket at this point. So he's been in decent form. I wouldn't be rushing to trade him in. Chowdhury, again, you're probably just trading him in off the back of one good innings. And I would just prefer the Stars players straight up, considering they also have a double in round 5. So I would rather have the double in round 3 and round 5 rather than the Hurricanes, who have it in round 3 and round 7, I believe. So yeah, the players on the left are the ones I would like the most. But you could go for some desperation doubles if you absolutely need to. So let's take a look at round 4 doubles then. There's a few more locks in here, and whereas the Stars, I think you can go a number of different directions. I think Perth are very top heavy with their players. We'll start with Cooper Connolly, who I called a trap on the first episode of the podcast, but I just didn't want to have that much money locked away at the start of the year. I thought there was a decent price decent chance he could lose some money before we got him, but he's looked in really good touch, and with the way Perth's bowlers have been, he could be someone that has a expanded role with the ball as well. So for his double, he's a lock. You could even consider going early on him this week, but I think people will probably be scrambling to get Stoinis in if they don't already have him, or Ralph or Maxwell, so probably hard to get him in this week, but definitely locked for round 4. Jai Richardson, if he's available, he's a lock as well. He's the spearhead of Perth's bowling attack. He is named in the test squad. I don't think he will actually play in the match, but named in the squad. If he's released from that squad and is available for both of those Perth games on the double, then he's locked in for me. He's far too good to ignore. Mitch Marsh at only 90k. I'm sure that can increase or decrease. But batting at the top of the order, he is someone that just has that explosive firepower. Won't bowl, but with the bat is very capable. Aaron Hardy, I really like his role as well. Batting at 4 at the moment. But he also, I think in the first game, he bowled the first and the last over. And in the second game, I don't think he bowled as much because Richardson was available. But even still, I think he's one of their better bowlers and very capable with the bat as well. 82k at the moment is too cheap for him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big game this week and is much more than that. So he's a lock for me. Pick your own poison. Yeah, not as keen on these players, but I'll start with Finn Allen because he's the one I am actually keen on. I don't think he's a lock, but he's another player that bats at the top of the order, has that firepower, has a huge score in him, has multiple hundreds in other leagues, scored 150 in Major League Cricket. So he's someone I'm not willing to fade on the double, but I think the other 4 ahead of him in terms of locks, but I'm pretty keen on Finn Allen as well. Pick your own poison. Joel Paris, he's a tad expensive in my opinion, but seems to be bowling those important overs. I think he's bowling 1 or 2 in the power play and then getting a surge and a death over. So he's probably the pick of the bowlers if Richardson isn't available. There is an argument, though, that you could just completely fade Perth's bowlers with how they have started the year. Matt Kelly, I think, missed the start of the year with a finger injury. I'm not sure if he's going to be available for that double, but 81k for someone that has had a propensity to pick up wickets in the past, I think is a good option. Desperation options, I think Ashton Agar, 117k is probably a fair price. Just doesn't really have a huge ceiling, and like he can bat and he can bowl well, but not a huge wicket taker. And with Perth's bowling attack not being as strong as it has been in future years, they've probably got less incentive to bash Agar around and probably happy taking like 6 to 8 runs off his overs and trying to target other players. So I don't mind Agar. He's a he's a good player. I just am a bit less keen on him with the Scorchers bowling attack around him. I'm not really supporting him. Ashton Turner, not one I'm really keen on. At 90k though, has turned the arm over around in the past as well, although I don't think he will with Hardy and Connolly being those all-rounder bowling options. 90k, he can finish in innings, but not someone I'm really interested in. Significantly worse than the other batters in Perth's top four. Marley Beardman, he was dropped for the second game, but he's still a young talent that I wouldn't be writing off, especially if he does well in his upcoming game. Then he could be someone that emerges on the radar, but at the moment, not in my plans. Laurie Evans probably bats too low down the innings to be relevant, especially with how strong Perth's top four is this year. But he is someone that can come in at the back end of innings and score quick runs. So probably a desperation option if you really want to go a pod route, but yeah, not one for me. And then Hobson and Brody Couch. Hobson just comes in too late. That's a no. And Brody Couch, I'm not sure on his job security and also just don't particularly rate him as a player. All right, on to the fun part, which is the trades for round 3. I think the trade ins are more important than the trade outs. That being said, there's quite a few players to choose from to trade out. Brisbane and Sydney Thunder don't have a double for the rest of the year, so they are obvious trade out targets for me. So how I'm prioritising that, I think Shadab Khan is probably one I want to keep for the long term. And then it's Renshaw and Wildermuth I would prefer to hold with the low break-evens. Everyone else that doesn't have a low break-even or isn't a season keeper is expendable in my opinion. So that's Sam Zafridi and Bartlett in this team. So I think all of them could fine holds, to be honest. Sam Bartlett or Freedy. But I've got better players to hold, and I think I'll probably be getting rid of Renshaw and Wildermuth next week anyway. So I don't think it's a huge issue. Want to be prioritising doubles going forward. So I have Joe Clark in my batting line. So that means I need a wicketkeeper to trade in, and that is Finn Allen. Very keen on him, and he's going to go up in price this week. So he's the one that I am going to go for. Definitely not a must-have, but someone I have a lot of time for. So I'm going to go for him. Next player, I've raved about him, but Campbell Callaway, he just looks like the real deal. And yes, he's 90k. You could have got him for cheaper, but I really like how he's going at the top of the order, and he looks like he's pacing his innings really well. So I'm willing to take the risk on Campbell Callaway over a more experienced player. But again, he's a pure batter, so preferring to go for him over like a Tom Curran because he's a batter, Curran's a bowler, bowling at the start of an innings. So that's probably the determining factor there. Although I do like Curran as an option, and I probably would be picking Curran if he was bowling more at the back end. But at the moment, he's bowling too much up front. And yes, he was good in the power play against the strikers, but I would rather the better role of someone bowling in the back end. And then the last spot, it's between Ralph and Maxwell for me. I've gotten Ralph at the moment. I'm probably like 70% sure I'll go him over Maxwell. Again, it's just the faith I have in Callaway being that glue at the middle order. It's just, I think it's hurting Maxwell a bit. I wouldn't write him off, and I will probably trade him in round 5, I think, for the Stars' second double, and hopefully he's a bit cheaper by then. But Ralph, he's a proven commodity. He hasn't really had a bad season in the BBL, and I'm maybe a little bit less concerned about going the batter over bowler with the venues that are coming up. SCG, I think I forgot who batted first, but I think might have been the Sixers who scored 158 or 159. So that's fine. And then Monica is probably a bit more batting friendly, but I'm going to back in Ralph. I am still tossing up between Ralph and Maxwell, to be honest, but we'll see how I feel on the day. Yeah, I think I'll go for Ralph at this stage. In terms of field, I mean, Alan's going to stay there, but I'm going to put my Hobart players on field with them and the Stars having a double. So I need to remember how I did it before. I think it was. That's right, yeah. It was going to be like this. And then Bournemouth. So yeah, I've got my 10 doubles, and I could bench Joe Clark over a single, but he does have that ceiling at least, and it just feels bad starting someone and not playing them during a double. So I think I will play Joe Clark on field. That leaves 2 spots for non-doubles. I think it's a toss-up between Hardy, Wildermuth, and Shadab Khan, in my opinion, for my team. I think Hardy is the one who I would back to score the highest if I had to choose one. But the problem with fielding Hardy is then if I put Hardy on field, then I can see Wildermuth score and then choose between him or Shadab. Whereas if I go Shadab on field, I can then, and I'm committing to Shadab, but then I can see what Wildermuth and Hardy do, and I can take the higher of those scores. So if Hardy scores better than Wildermuth, then I leave my Luke O'Connor in the bowling line. But if he doesn't, then I would move Shadab and O'Connor around, and that just gives me more information and a better look. And I don't think there's a huge difference between Wildermuth, Shadab, Hardy in terms of scoring. Even Renshaw could score well this week back at the Gabba, which was a road. Yeah, I would rather take that information rather than picking my guy. And if I did have to choose one to straight field without any of these implications, it would be Hardy, but I will like to take the extra information, see what Hardy and Wildermuth do, and then choose the better of them. And if they both go insane, I could even just trade Shadab out to another loophole. I don't think I would want to do that though. I think they would both need to go like 120, 130 plus, but I probably don't want to roll with 2 loopholes. I guess it wouldn't even have to be Shadab out either. It could be Hassan out to a loop, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. And then in terms of VC and C, I think Stoinis is the obvious VC with his role at batting at 4 and bowling that 20th over. I'm pretty keen on that. And I think Maxwell is one you could go for as well if you end up going for him. He's got a big score in him as well. You're probably just relying on the Stars top order to be underwhelming, which is definitely possible, but it doesn't make sense for me picking Callaway and Clark and then Stoinis and then Maxwell and then hoping the top order collapses. It's kind of like, well, what you're basically banking on some of your players being bad. So, yeah, I think that's probably another good reason why I'll pick Ralph over Maxwell, but I think it's a genuine toss-up. I think Curran's fine as well, as mentioned, but Yeah, I'm choosing to go Callaway and Ralph. Vice captain Stoinis, and the captain is going to be Mitch Owen. Optus Stadium looked a trait for batters, and Ninja Stadium, Mitch Owen does have a great record there, and doesn't look to be a bad batting surface there either. So I'm pretty set on that VCC combination, and I think that will wrap things up. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas period, or whatever holiday you celebrate, or even if you don't celebrate, just enjoy your time off work and that kind of stuff. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, and enjoy the summer of cricket.